accelerated. Feeling today? How are you feeling for this? Have you been playing Guild Wars 2? Yeah. I know that you're doing. Talk a little bit about the challenge that you're doing. I think people will be very curious about that.
I feel 6 feet tall. Accelerate.
Yeah, you're not doing the free-to-play version on Steam because you started before that, right? How far have you gone into your run?
Accelerate. I feel 6 feet tall.
Excuse me, Minister?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, how do you feel this start of the journey in comparison to when you started 10 years ago? Does it feel very different? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. It's totally fine. I'll take this little moment to tell you guys that if you do exclamation mark Nas, you can check his YouTube channel. He's an amazing content creator. Check him out. Give you a subscribe there. You know what to do.
Thank you, thank you. Okay,
You're okay?
I think I'm back. I think yeah. Well, someone in my stream
Good.
was saying that my mic wasn't being picked up, so I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit. Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
That's a big issue, but it's all sorted out. I hope.
Yeah. They can hear me now, so it's good. Perfect.
Good.
So
So, what's the main difference that, or the main differences that you've picked up throughout this 10-year gap?
uh, okay. The main difference I would say is as much as I want to be like a new player, you're never gonna be a new player, right? There's still things you will remember regardless how long you play the game. So from that part of the experience, it's hard to compare. But what I learned was that the game has so much more. Like, I don't know if it was different at the time because I can't remember, but current game helps you a lot to get into the game. Like, there's a lot of help. There's a lot of pop-ups helping you out. Like, this does this. Oh, you got this now. Here you go. This is what this do. I don't remember exactly if that was the case back in the days, but I felt very welcome and I got really the hang of things very quickly.
Yeah, the new player experience updates that they've been doing lately have increased a lot of those pop-ups on the tutorial. I do keys every week, like from level 1 to 10 to get the Black Lion chest key per week.
Hmm.
And I could see the differences for these past few weeks. Like once you get into a world boss now, you'll have jump mechanics. They'll give you pop up about that. If you do die during those 10 levels, you'll get a pop up to tell you can res or you should res instead of waiting for someone to res you if you're in combat. And then they show you how to open your map and choose the teleport, which I do think it wasn't available once I started. I think the game was much more, well, you need to get the hang of it by yourself, you know.
Yeah, I think it was a lot about that they didn't have that extra help.
Do you think it's much easier now to get into Guild Wars 2 than it was back in the day?
Uh, if it's easier, certainly yes. There's a lot of information about the game, right? So when I started, like if you look at my gear, I play my main character. It's a mesmer, and at the time we just did whatever we thought would be good, right? And
Yeah.
with so many years of the game being out, there's so much information, so many guides, so many builds that you can try that people tried during this time that will help you get into the game. Like, I mean, I was using, I don't know, I still use the same combo that I used before in days in this character. I never changed it because I enjoyed it so much, and it might be not even the best one, but I started with a great sword, a pistol, and a sword on my mesmer. And then you see people with stuff. You see people with two swords. There's so many combos depending on the content that you want to do. At the time, it was not available. Like people didn't have the time yet to explore those experienced with that. Um, and the building, how you used to build, yeah, to make your build in the day back in the days changed drastically from what I see it how it is now.
Yeah, I do feel like the game now has improving a lot the new player experience. Although I do still feel like there's a gap somewhere. Do you agree with that? That there's a big gap between new players and veterans, and that gap has not been fulfilled yet.
Uh, I'm not quite sure yet because I think I'm in the bit in between. I'm not a veteran, but I'm also not a new player. So I guess there is a gap. Um, but I'm not sure like how do you connect the veterans with the new player, if that makes sense. Because I'm in the middle. Like I have a lot of experience, but there's a lot of things I have no idea what I have to do, and maybe it comes from people actually having the interest to like explore. I don't know if it comes down to people try to get into like bigger guilds with more veterans and try. I'm not quite sure what's the gap there, but yeah, there is definitely a gap.
Do you feel like the arena has done something to try to compensate for that?
Mm, I don't know. I
As someone that it's in the middle.
It's difficult. I think that if they, I don't know, probably not. I don't remember anything that they did that I would say like, yeah, this is helping me. But it also comes from
Yeah.
down to the person what they want to do, right? Like some players may not want to be like an elite player having all the legendary gear, whatever it is. Some people just like to explore the game to a certain amount, and that's what satisfies for them. So I don't know. Is there might be a gap, but maybe people want that gap? I also don't know.
Oh, what an amazing answer! Yeah, I totally agree with you that there. I do think that one of the main issues with that gap, and it's something that ArenaNet can't fix because it's not on their hands. It's the willingness of the community to go hardcore on Guild Wars 2 or not. There's people that are gonna love it throughout, and there's people that just don't enjoy it from from the moment that they started. And that's something that they can control, unfortunately.
And it's like I said, like I think Guild Wars 2 has a really good community. Like if you show that you want to learn, The people are there, but it also comes from you to show initiative that you want to learn. I personally like I want to learn this stuff and like maybe get a legendary weapon at the time or whatever it is. But I wanted to do it myself. I didn't want to help. I was like, I'm gonna do it on my own. Gonna explore everything. I'm gonna learn by myself. But then there's other players that rely a lot on guilds and communities to help them out. So it really depends, I think, on each individual. Uh, but I think there is the tools, but it's something that ArenaNet can't really control.
Yeah, that's an amazing answer, really, because what can you do if people are not interested in investing their time with Guild Wars 2? Although you have a very specific challenge, that challenge that you're doing with constricted time, it's very interesting, right? Because of that. Do you think Guild Wars 2 does it very well for casual players to just hop in and do a little bit of playing each day
It's the most casual
per week?
MMORPG in my opinion ever. Like I've played many. Like I played a lot of MMORPGs, free and not free. But like if you're talking about like maybe the main games, the big names like Elder Scroll Online, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, I've played them all. I play all the top dogs, and there's not a single game that I come back to as many times like I do with Guild Wars 2. Like I did play for a long period of time, stopped because I was exhausted. And then I come back for a few months, stop. And I don't do this with a lot of games. Like maybe Guild Wars 2, no, sorry, World of Warcraft was maybe the closest one.
Yeah.
But I only came back to go to World of Warcraft many times was because there was a lot of people that I know that were playing. But Guild Wars 2 was always a game that, like, it's not a game that is as popular, so people are as into the game as we are. So it's harder to find people to play sometimes. But it's a game that I have no issue to come by alone and play it.
Yeah, it's a very easy to game to solo with. However, as any MMO, as any other online game, it's much more enjoyable with other folks. Do you think that Guild Wars 2 community still holds its reputation as the most friendliest,
I
as
think
it did
so.
once in the past?
I still think it is. It may have lost a little bit touch of it, but this also has to do how popular the game was before, and then how it dropped, and now how it's kind of maybe hopefully coming back, especially with the Steam release.
Yeah, I do think that the Steam release may have showed some flaws with some interests on the community. Like I don't know if you followed, but a lot of players stood yesterday on the starting areas to welcome new players. But that might be overwhelming. What do you think about that? Like, would you feel overwhelmed with that environment? Like a lot of players just hanging out outside the tutorial?
Uh, I don't know if again, I think that's come to personal preference. I personally would love it because it would make me feel not just welcome, it would make me feel okay. The game is alive; it's not dead. Like when there's a game that I'm starting and I go in and I don't see people, I feel like, oh shit, is this? Is there people playing? No people playing? And if I see a lot of people, I was like, oh, a lot of people like this game. There must be something there for me to explore. But if there's not a lot of people, I will think maybe the game is not that interesting. Maybe I'm wrong, and I don't want to try it.
Yeah. There's been a fair amount of discussion, mostly on the subreddit of Guild Wars 2. I don't know if you know the fame that subreddit has, but yeah, it can get a little bit tricky sometimes. But on Reddit, there's a little bit of discussion because, well, new players might feel overwhelmed with a lot of veterans showing their shiny new weapons. Everything is shiny because, well, they're veterans. They have everything they need, those legendaries and everything, and they're just popping messages and whispers to new players, and that might infuriate some.
Yes, I mean, I would hate like that's it's either that or like it's the same thing comes to guild invites. It's kind of the same concept, like people spamming you with guild invites and whispers. Like you have to give people time to get into the game, and if they want to talk to people, they will, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you just spamming them with like, oh, do you need help? Do you want to join the guild? This, that, I can help, blah blah blah. It can be overwhelming. Yes, definitely, and negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to be respectful, just as we are on our day-to-day basis. Like you don't want to be all every time you see someone, you don't want to be, hey, have you heard about my guild in Guild Wars 2? Right? You just, well, if you know someone that plays it and know someone that needs to be on a guild, you just wait for them to ask you for a guild invite. You may make some marketing once in a while, but I don't think overwhelming is the answer, especially for new players. Although I do agree with you that the showing off of the amount of people on the starting areas is really good, and the intention is good as well. Like, I don't get me wrong, I do understand that everyone goes there with good intent, but sometimes we need to look through the other side. Look through the other guy's point of view.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right, with a release like the Steam release, there's gonna be a lot of players there regardless in the starting area, and probably a lot of new players just like you, which is the fun part, right? It's like when I go to a game and I'm gonna get boosted, if you wish, by someone, I'm not gonna enjoy the game because I'm not learning. I'm just doing what they tell me to do. I don't fail. I don't make mistakes, which I think is part of the fun as well.
Yeah, you don't have those consequences because your friends are always there to cover you up.
Yeah.
It's very easy to cover someone up in Guild Wars 2, especially.
And I just want to mention a comment here on my side from a friend of mine, that he said on my stream. I'm gonna quote what he said. When I start an MMO,
Yeah.
I'm not interested in any guild or help. Gotta explore first. You don't want to be rich in the first 5 minutes and have nothing to work towards. It basically comes back to the part I was talking about as well, the being boosted.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with what he said there, because if let's not just talk about Guild Wars 2, but let's imagine like in Final Fantasy. What if you get boosted in Final Fantasy? Are you gonna have fun with that game? I
No.
don't think so. Yeah. You need to. I know that some people want to get as fast as possible to the end game, but I do agree with Guild Wars 2 developers when they said that's not what matters. It's not the destination, but the journey. Like the people you share your journey with, the experiences, all that is much more worth it than getting to endgame.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you said, there are people that are interested in the end game only, and that's fair. Like if that's what you want, you will find people that will take you there, right? But I don't think that's the experience of an MMORPG. Like I like exploring. I like, as sound as weird as it might sound, I like dying to mobs and be like frustrated and like, God damn it, this guy is
Yeah.
actually strong. I need to do maybe try something different
To,
to
to pocket raptors in Art of Thorns.
yeah,
That's fun.
like it's the experience. Like some people play a certain game for one specific thing. I don't think Guild Wars 2 is the game for them. I mean, they can be, but it's unlikely they're gonna enjoy the experience.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my next question, which is like people also tend to ignore lore in most MMOs. And what do you think about that? Do you think that lore should just be skipped, and then you should be able to criticize the lore about it? Like,
Uh,
nah, the lore doesn't have enough cutscenes for me, or
yeah, that's a so. Additional to that, so my opinion on lore is it's important. Like every game needs a good lore. Even
yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
are if you don't like lore, it's not gonna bother you, right? Like you can skip it. If you don't like, you don't have to do the story. You don't have to follow the lore of Guild Wars 2. I do because I enjoy doing it. Um, but as long as it doesn't interfere with whatever you're looking for in the game. I think every game needs a good lore because it brings so much value to the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I do replay Guild Wars 2 for lore. Actually, I'm doing on Twitch. I'm doing the End of Dragons replay.
Hmm.
I'm doing a replay through, and I'll tell you, man. Like, because I'm playing with an Asura, which is a race I didn't do End of Dragons before. I'm catching so much new dialogues, so much new little funny details of my voice actor for my character that I didn't had in my previous runs. So I do think that Guild Wars 2 has a very good way of telling its lore, especially in the latest releases. However, it's very judged on 2012, on the content from 2012,
Yes. I mean,
which can be bothering. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, Other thing about the lore, specific in Guild Wars 2, is a lot of people like to criticize the lore because it's not interesting. But I disagree. What they did, I think, they made the lore accessible to more people. If they made it too overcomplicated, like it would be difficult for some players, especially like people like us that are not native speakers, but they still didn't make it too simple that it sounds childish or boring. And a lot of people criticize the lore of Guild Wars 2 as not very in depth or whatever. I disagree. I think you just don't. It's like what you said. If you try it with every different race, the lore is different, things are different, and you learn new things with them. And this is, you said you did what, Asura, the one I'm playing right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did a
Yeah.
Silveri because I never played. Well, I did play Silveri, but I never like explored it Silveri. And I'm already like seeing so much difference from the first experience.
Yeah. Especially on the personal story, the difference is huge. Like, there's nothing alike from race to race. Nothing alike.
Mm-hmm. And people also,
yeah, should go ahead.
sorry, yeah. So and people also forget about the choices that they make when they creating the character. They do have slight, small percentage influence on your character, and the fact that you can change like a story, like you have options. It's not just lore. You just don't go through the story. You make your own story. Like there's parts in the lore that they give you options and you have to pick, and that determines where your character and where the lore goes for you. It's not like a one way going.
Yeah, true. Like the options that Guild Wars 2 has in its lore, it's something that you don't see very often in MMORPGs. You think it's worth it? Like the extra work that they do for that?
Absolutely. I think people appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you think that how do I put this? Do you think that the lore itself in Guild Wars 2 tries to do everything at the same time, but then it kind of thins out as most of the community like criticizes about it? Like the most common criticism I see is like the story is very thin on its ground. This is the most common one.
I guess it depends. I think I'm not sure if I'm the right person to say it because I'd never finished. So I finished the base game lore, but never finished expansions lore. So it's difficult for me to say if it's thin out at the end. But I can say like, what's the first expansion name? Forgot.
Art of Tolerance.
Yes. So I think that expansion was a little bit iffy. The story was a bit less interesting. However, I think that the fact that your character's story continues throughout the expansions is interesting. They could have done like the lore would be different. Well, it is different from each expansion, but it always connects back to your main story. And I think that makes it interesting rather than thin. But I don't know. It's difficult to say without actually having to explore all the lore of the game.
But you're actually on point because throughout the expansions, you're gonna find characters that you saw during your first chapters on your personal on your personal story, and that is something that Guild Wars 2 does very well, in my opinion. Um, I do think that you're also on point where the Art of Thorns expansion was a little bit fizzy with its lore, especially because of crunch time, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Is there any content that you're looking for to do on your run through?
D- huh. Content. In talking about my new the experience I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I just want to. I'm not sure if there's a specific thing that I'm looking for, but what I'm looking for is to learn new things or learn the correct way, if that makes sense, of things that I never learned because I just went through them like not knowing what I was doing. But now, and I still enjoyed the game regardless. So I think there's a lot of things that I missed in my first experience, and I just want to experience them as well.
How do you think that that would be the best way to experience those things? How do you intend to do that, to achieve that during your content creation?
Well, for me, is the fact that I'm putting certain amount of hours helps. It's because I can like manage exactly what I'm doing, so I'm paying more attention. If I was not limited to a time, I would just be exploring the game, right? And I would be missing stuff naturally. By putting some goals and like I want to work 10 hours. So what I'm gonna do in these 10 hours or how many hours, whatever it is, I'll I'll be able to choose more what I'm doing and skip the things that I've done before that I already know.
Yeah, that actually is a good idea because if I do play on a time constraint, I'll do try nowadays to be the most effective as possible. However, if I do find myself with a lots of time, I'll explore a lot. So there's a difference there on your intent, and that depends on the time that you have. Although, do you think that time management is something that's hard to do while playing games, creating content, and having a work?
Definitely, and that's why I restricted it to 10 hours a week, and I'm still struggling to be honest. Only 10 hours, without something that I would do probably in one day before. I'm struggling to do in a week. Uh, but it's really depends on what's going on with your life, right? It
Yeah.
is possible, but having a normal job, like a full time job, can be difficult. It's also to do well. In my experience, the time that I travel from work to home and home for work every day, and the activities that I have to do influence my will to be playing or to do anything. Like it's not like I'm just not being able to play Guild Wars 2. I'm just not playing any games sometimes, and it's because I'm just feeling tired or whatever it is, physically, mentally, whatever it is. But at the same time, it's like if you really want to do things, you find ways. Maybe it's not how you planned first. Maybe you have to adapt, but it's possible. I think everything is possible.
And what would be the best practices for anyone that is finding that difficult as well?
Well, my
Like, is there any tips and tricks that you could do?
well, I try to plan ahead if possible, right? So the first it's this week I want to do A, B, and C, and I try to plan them throughout the day. Obviously, there's other factors as well, like social life, yada yada, that you have to consider. So I try to put that time ahead. So if I need, I don't know, spend time with my girlfriend or talk with my parents, be with friends, whatever it is that involves other people, I know that if I put the time, so these tasks during that week in certain slots, I can tell them I'm busy at this hour, I'm busy at this hour. They don't have to know what I'm doing, and they'll be fine. We will find time together or not um, to do things together. But if you do write things down and actually commit to like scheduled, I think scheduled it's the best thing.
Yeah. Scheduling yourself can be a huge tool if you know how to do so. Unfortunately, I'm terrible at it.
Oh,
I really suck at it. I
well,
try to schedule my sleep hours. It's horrible.
so yeah, I think it's important. Like, I work on shifts, for example. So it's never easy because sometimes I'm starting at 12, sometimes I'm starting at 6 a.m., right? So what I
Yeah.
do is, okay, so if I have to start at 6 a.m., I'm sorry, 8 a.m., means I have to wake up at 6 a.m. Um, so for the days that I start at 12, instead of waking up late, I wake up at 6 a.m. regardless. So, for example, yesterday I started at 12, I woke up at 6, and during the morning, I worked on certain things. Sometimes it's not playing, sometimes it's planning stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it is. But as long as I keep that consistency, it helps me at least. I don't know if it works for everyone, but this is what I do. I try to wake up roughly at the same time every day and go to sleep roughly at the same time. Obviously, you can jiggle, an hour less, more. But if you keep that schedule, you will find that there are times that you can fill the gaps.
Yeah, I do think you're onto something there because once I can focus on my routine, having the same routine every single day, I'll be a little bit more productive. Although once I need to do some crunch time, some crunch editing on some video, I do find it difficult to manage everything at the same time. Do you feel that pressure with scheduled releases for your videos?
No, that's why I don't have them yet. Like,
Yeah,
as
that's good.
I think you should commit, and it's good to commit, but not to the point, because I've done it before. I've been like, I need to put a video every week, right? At least. But I also have to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
care
yeah.
of
That's
myself.
the first thing that they tell you. Yeah,
But I have to take care of
exactly.
myself.
That's the thing.
As long as
Yeah,
you
I totally agree.
committed, as long as you are aware of it, right? So in my mind, like, I wanted to do a video every 10 hours that I played of Guild Wars 2, I wanted to put content out. But I couldn't. Like, I've been tired, and I'm like, okay, work on it slowly. Takes you 2 weeks, takes you 3 weeks. Another thing is, some content you can work ahead. For example, if you have ideas for videos that don't need, like, that are not like a sequence, right? For example, like my content
Yeah,
I'm doing now, it's a sequence. So I can't really plan ahead. I need to play the game, write
yeah.
things
Roll with the
down.
wave. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But there are content maybe that you have ideas, you can just, edit it ahead, have like 2 or 3 videos ready, and put them out every week while you are. So that's, let's say, 3 videos you have ahead done. You have 3 videos, one they're gonna come out weekly, right? So you have 3 weeks to create the next video, or 3 more videos, and then you are always with content. But to create that, you need to obviously find what you want to do. Like, you have to find a lot of content first to create, and then do that. At the moment, I don't have that, and it's fine. Like, I don't have any pressure. I don't think being in a rush helps. It just puts extra pressure, especially if you have a busy lifetime. It's not going to help you. It's just going to stress, and you're going to end up giving up on it.
yeah. I do think that you should prioritize quality over quantity. It's not as same as other areas where you should do as many. Like I'll give you an example. I do play guitar as a hobby,
Hmm.
and to play guitar, what I'd advise someone is to learn as many songs as possible in the first couple months because that will get your fingers going. But the thing is, in content creation, you don't want to do that. You want to prioritize quality over quantity, in my opinion. What do you
Yes.
think about that?
Um, yes and no. I agree to an extent. So,
Hmm, that's funny. How so?
okay,
Tell me, give me the juice.
so content creation, it's not a one-way go, right? Like, you always want the best content. But for me personally, if I don't make content at all, or at least working on it, even if it's not editing. Sometimes it's I have a log, I have programs where I log everything. I write ideas, I write scripts, I write everything, and they are ready there. But if I don't create them, it's like if I'm thinking about the quality all the time, I will never do it because I'm a perfectionist. Being someone on the creative area, you want it to be perfect. So in my mind, if it's not good, I'm not gonna do it. I stopped doing that because I know that I'm not an amazing editor yet. But if I don't edit at all, I don't practice. Make sense?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it makes total sense.
So, and
Do you think that?
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. No, yeah, go ahead.
So
Finish.
yeah, so basically, that's my like. I do want to put quality out, sure, but I have not even 100 subscribers, right?
Right. Exactly.
Are they gonna really care too much about the quality? It's more in your mind. Of course, there is like a minimum of quality that you need, but if you don't practice this skill, you are not gonna evolve. And that's the only way for your quality of your video to improve is by practicing. If you don't make the videos, you are not practicing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And the thing is, you need to be bold as well. Like, you need to try new things, and don't be afraid to try new things with your content.
True.
Because every once in a while, you'll see people just getting into the wave and trying to be. Well, I'll just call out one streamer. Like, everyone wants to be Hasmongold, but then you look at it, and Asmongold is himself. Like, you don't want to be someone else. You need to be
Yep.
yourself, and you need to be bold by yourself, by your own ideas.
Yes.
Do you think there's a lot of copycats nowadays?
Not just copycats. It's people like you spot on. It's people not being themselves, and I was there. If you saw, like I told you, like I did content before, and the content was forced. Like I was trying to force to be something that I wasn't because I saw that other people were doing that content and it was working for them. But every person has their unique things, right?
Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny because the same thing that worked for somebody else may not work for you.
Of course, yeah, it might work, but it might not work. You have to identify that for yourself. It's like, is this something I like to do? Do I feel comfortable? And by being comfortable, I mean, how do I put this? It's like, is this something that I enjoy doing it? Is this something I see myself doing in the future? Because that's the thing, like, oh, it works. It might be good. I'm going to be successful. But then in the long run, it's like, I hate this. This is not what I'm doing. And then it will show on on the rest of your content eventually.
Exactly. That's the thing that people sometimes don't understand is if you're not being yourself and if you're not enjoying what you're putting out, it will show through. It always gets somehow to show through, and you need to be aware of it as well. Like, you can't be just trying and trying the same thing and expecting to have a different result.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a pretty funny question for you.
Okay.
I did check your content and I did saw that you do enjoy anime as well.
I do, yes.
So we've talked a little bit about lore,
Mhm.
and I want to compare a little bit about lore in anime and games. I know this may sound weird, but hear me out. So anime and games are very different types of content, obviously, although both try to tell you a story. Which has been the best anime and the best game for you in main story content only?
Oof. Best anime. So, best anime in terms of story and
Yeah, main plot.
main plot. I would say in terms just as in story itself, not personal like liking, has to be
Yeah.
the one anime that a lot of people skip because it's too bloody long. and no one wants to bother. It's called One Piece. For me, One Piece
Oh,
has the best story and character development of all anime that I watch.
that's funny because I'm starting One Piece. I did start a couple months ago. I'm in Skype
Oh
right now,
my!
so don't spoil me. Don't spoil me.
You met
But
Eminem,
yeah,
huh?
I'm having a. Sorry.
Well, if you are Skype, you're gonna meet Eminem at some point if you didn't yet. What I call him, he
Oh,
looks
I
just
did. I haven't yet.
yeah.
I haven't yet.
He looks like
Oh,
Eminem.
that's nice.
I don't know if
Look,
it was based on him, but it does look like Eminem.
I do follow you there. The writing on One Piece is brilliant, man. The every single line is so thoughtful of each character that is saying it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to just look at. It's amazing. And look, the anime itself on the episodes I'm watching, they're pretty old. Okay, I'm not watching
Mm-hmm.
because of the animation or anything.
Yep.
I'm just enjoying a hell of a story. Like Alabasta was huge. I loved Alabasta.
One of my
It was
favorites.
amazing. Yeah, it was pretty fucking chilling, man. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it was fucking amazing.
But
Truly one of the best.
like I watched. I'm a person that likes lore, right?
Yeah.
And this is why One Piece is one of my favorites. It's so long, and I tend to avoid smaller animes because the lore is small. It's like I'm getting interested, and all of a sudden it's gone, and I'm like, God
It's
damn it,
over,
I want
yeah.
more, right?
I did feel like that with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Mm,
Like I wanted more. I
yeah,
wanted more, but I love that anime, man. It's so good.
exactly. Like but with One Piece, it's not the story that impacted me the most, but is the story that I think is best written from all the animes I watch. This goes from personal preference and
Yeah,
you know,
obviously. We're
there's
just sharing.
because if you are very early stage of One Piece, but you will see something, and this is not spoilers. This is something that they do very good. Is they bring back characters to the story later on, and you see that they developed. They didn't stay in time. In a lot of animes, when they bring a character back, the character
They're the same.
it's like just the main guy is strong. You are weak now, like compared to me. In One Piece, even the anime, like the enemies and the bad guys, do develop. They do develop, and so obviously you did Alabasta. You met Crocodile, right? Or
Yeah.
the marine guy that's the smoker. I don't remember his
Oh,
name.
Smoker. Yeah.
Smoke.
Badass character right
like,
there.
Smoker still exists currently, and it's over 1,000 episodes, right? He's still around. Not as often, but he's still around. He's still developed. Maybe not as much as the main characters. That will never happen, but they developed a lot, regardless, and that's something I love about the lore. In terms of game,
Is there any game that can be compared in terms of lore to One Piece for you? Or there's not anything that comes even close to it.
in terms of games, I don't think so, but it's difficult to compare because a game has few hours of like if you okay, let me change that a little bit. If you compare a small anime with the game, I think the game wins. Like
How so? Why do you say that?
because most of the games that I've played that have a good story, for example, Red Dead Redemption, I think it has a great
Amazing
lore,
game.
right?
Yep. Amazing. Brilliant.
You don't need a lot of hours to love the game. Someone is saying Final Fantasy X. Yes, it does have a great story.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X is a huge shout out. Actually. Really good game.
I played that game like 10 times. For example, right? It has a good lore. It feels I feel satisfied when I finish the game. In a small anime, I don't feel satisfied most of the time. I'm like, yeah, I want more. It could be more, and this is why it's difficult to say when an anime like One Piece has over 1,000 episodes. You have way more time to develop that lore than compared to a game that lasts you, I don't know, maybe 10 hours of gameplay. I don't know, roughly. Really depends on the game.
Do you think that there's any game that you would praise for its lore independently. Like, this is the best game for lore for me.
Phew. I don't know if I have one in mind. Just because I stopped
There's
playing.
so many, maybe.
There's many. It's not only many. It's I got to a point in my life that I stopped playing single player games mostly. It's like if there's one specific game that comes out, like again, Red Redemption, for example, like the second one when it came out, yes, I want to play that game. But I don't look forward to as many single player games as much because I don't have the time socially to spend time with some people. So I spend time playing video games with people that have less lore, and I'm more there for the fun with the friends than the single player game that I don't have as much time to invest.
And that's becoming more and more normal nowadays. That's why online games are getting so bigger. Like, you look at League of Legends 10 years ago, and it wasn't even half the size it is nowadays. And it's gotten pretty low, but still, you look at it, it's pretty fucking played. You look at games like Fortnite that revolutionized the online genre. So there's a lot more people tending to go to online games. Do you think online games can deliver lore as well as single player games?
Uh, Probably not as good. But that's not the main goal, right? The main
Yeah,
goal of an online
I
game
agree.
is socializing. Period.
Yeah,
That's-
that was the answer that I was looking for. You got that pretty quickly.
I think that's it. Like, if you play an online game, it's if you want to be alone, you don't need an online game. I mean, you can obviously. You are solo players, right? But it's unavoidable. There are people there. You are never alone, regardless if you're playing the game alone or not.
Yeah, you want to share the experience with other people. That's why you're playing an online game.
Yeah.
Do you think that nowadays I look at ESO, where one of its marketing lines is "play solo" when it is an MMO? Do you think that that isn't becoming the norm, or is it going to become the norm for MMOs
Well, I hope not.
to become more solo experiences?
I hope not.
Accelerate!
Well, because that's one of the reasons I play an MMOR. Like, MMORPGs is the most social game, or should be, in my opinion. Of them
Yeah,
all.
I
'Cause,
agree there.
I mean, you have dungeons, you have raids. You're never gonna do them alone unless you're playing solely for the experience and exploration. Then sure, fine. But I don't think anyone makes an MMOR thinking, yeah, you want to play it alone. I don't think any developer thinks that.
What do you think about the games nowadays don't have the same difficulty bar that they had before?
What do I
So
have to do?
that's one of the reasons they become more soloable. Like, they become easier as well. Do you think that that's an issue, or that's something that should change, in your opinion?
I think every game should be different in that regard, so I don't have an issue with it because there are people that don't like to be hardcore players. I used to be a hardcore PvP player. I used to beat the shit out of people, and so I was
That's
hardcore.
always fun.
I was hardcore, right? But I've changed. Like, I don't have that time to invest. So I like a game that it's easier for me to get into and for me to enjoy it, just like Guild Wars 2, which I think it's the best MMORPG in that regard. But they can still be hardcore, right? You can still have the aspects to hardcore. But then it comes to the players' expectations. People be like, oh, let's say Guild Wars 3 gonna happen, because there's rumors, right?
Yeah. There's been some
Let's
rumors.
say that the rumors are Guild Wars 3 is coming out. If they tell me that the game is gonna be hardcore, right?
Yeah.
I'm not their target audience, which is fine. The problem is people try to change the game. Oh, it's too hardcore, whatever, or it's too easy, change it. A good example for me, it's New World. New World was supposed to be
Oh,
super
yeah.
hardcore. Was supposed to be like
I was about to say that as well. Yeah.
drop. It's gonna be like full loot drop. You die, you lose your drop, you use your loot, whatever.
Massive PvP.
Yeah, and I was like hooked because, like I said, I was massive into PvP.
Yeah.
And then I asked for a refund because they changed the game. Like, And this is the problem. Some developers, like, they listen to the audience too much, that they change it. Like, there are games for everyone. The next MMO RPG doesn't mean that's your MMORPG or whatever
Exactly.
genre.
That is huge. No, keep going, please.
No, well,
You're
that's
talking
it. Yeah,
huge.
that's what I basically my answer.
Because nowadays everyone wants to play the next MMO. Like, oh, the next MMO. Like once Lost Ark came out, everyone wanted to play it.
Mhm.
Not even people that didn't like isometric games. They wanted to play it because they wanted to play with everyone. But sometimes you need to identify the games you do enjoy and the games you don't enjoy. I don't find it fun to play Fortnite. I did try it, but it's not fun. It's not for me. So I've never touched it again. It is what it is, and you shouldn't be like mad at the game about it. I don't think that's your right because the game is not for you. It's not targeted at you. The same way that you have some marketing advertisements that are targeted for you and others that aren't, and it is what it is.
Exactly.
You
And
can't. You
sorry.
go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go.
Just to top it off, you can't ask the world to change just because you want it to.
Yeah.
Like, it's not all about the individual of yourself. It's about the other folks, the majority of everyone.
But this comes also on. It's like I said. I think it's developers' fault as well, because
Yeah,
if like you are a developer, you want this game to come out. This is the base. The game's gonna be this. Don't change it. Like, obviously, there's gonna be changes in develop.
yeah. The
But
developers should have their own identity for their game. I agree with that. Go ahead.
I know there's this stigma in MMORPGs. There's like, oh, there's never gonna be a new good MMORPGs. I think Ashes of Creation, it's gonna be a banger of a game. It's still in development,
Yeah.
but they are not changing the core of the game, which is essential to me. This is one of the first things I noticed. Like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're aiming for. We want to do this, this, and that. They don't change it. They are developing it,
Yeah,
and they're keeping their
I
words.
understand their niche.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's not gonna be for
Ashes of
everyone.
Creation is gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be for everyone.
there's gonna be people that's still gonna play WoW after Ashes of Creation, even though Ashes of Creation might be a better game. And there's nothing wrong with it. WoW may just be for you and not Ashes. You can't. I do think that developers are at fault because they sometimes lose the identity of their project, and that happens with a lot of games nowadays. Look at Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. They're so alike. The UI, everything, it's so alike, even though they're made by the same company, and they just have that identity, and it works for them. Well, sometimes,
Sometimes, yeah,
but it works.
yeah. Like,
And sorry.
no, go ahead.
Just to top off that same thing as well, like, I do think that companies nowadays are more interested in the buck, by making a good buck, than going for the willingness of their own community.
Yep. I mean, 1000%. It's not they are after the money. They are after the easy money, and this is one of the reasons I stopped as well to like pre-order a lot of games. It's because, like, until until you release the game fully, I'm like, as much as I like supporting devs, I'm not doing it because a lot of people just gonna be like, yeah, sorry, we had to change because a lot of people complained, and I'm like, yeah, well,
Yeah, and Guild Wars 2 is at fault as well here, because if you look at Heart of Thorns, when it released, it was hard as hell. People were being knocked out through left and right. It was pretty fucking awful to look at something like the Chuck Garant back in the day.
yep,
And the feedback was so bad by the casuals and by the new players that it was too hard, it was too much, and they just nerfed it. And nowadays you look at it and you just run smooth. There's no difficulty whatsoever.
yep.
So Guild Wars 2 is at fault as well.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It's not it's not something that only happens in certain games. Like, it's very common nowadays to see companies just be so willing to go for the easier and wider audience than go for the interests of their own game and their own identity.
Yeah, and
What do
I
you
think
think
they
is
realized
the?
it now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I do think as well. That is a pretty good point because I haven't talked about how good they've been lately. Do you feel there's like that much of a difference from back in the day to today in terms of development?
Yeah, completely. The fact that like I think this might be just theory of mine. I think that they were about to give up on Guild Wars 2. They were about to develop something new, right? But then COVID hit, and they were left with what they had. And then they realized
Yep.
maybe if we give this game a chance again and put the right people in the right place, it has a future.
And it has.
It does,
If
definitely.
that's what happened, I think they did the right bet there. Um, do you think like the communication that they've put out throughout this year has done any good to their image, or is it tainted forever?
It's not
Is there
tainted.
any
I
way to
mean,
fix them?
you cannot change what you've done in the past, but you can change the future, right? Like if they
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think they recognize their mistakes. They're like, okay, we are failing miserably to communicate with our community, and we are not listening to what's going on. So they put in people for like their own forums and Reddits and yada yada to deal with that stuff. And I mean, I have a bot on Discord, and it's the most active bot is the Guild Wars 2 bot. They are always putting
Yeah,
something new.
nowadays they're always putting something new. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday they did four posts. I see it now. 4 posts on their website. I'm like, wow, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it is pretty good to see in my opinion, and I do think that community needs to understand that they are making a huge effort just to put those out because besides working on them, having the time management to also
I'm
put it
mad
in a readable
invincible.
state for the community, that's ton of work. It may not seem so, but it is.
It
It
is.
is.
It makes a huge difference. Like
What
you don't feel
what
abandoned.
is the Yeah, true. And that was a huge problem with some of the releases in expansions. Like they did Out of
Accelerate!
Thorns, and then we were left out in a limbo for 6 months, and that was one of the big mistakes that they did. But what do you think is the strongest qualities that Guild Wars 2 can supply to the normal or average MMO player?
Wait, repeat the question. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. What are the strongest qualities, like the main features that you think that Guild Wars 2 will appeal to the average MMO player?
Oh, first of all, it's easy. It's easy to get the hang of it. Um, this, in my opinion, it still is, and it will be for a long time. Combat system. There's no way someone tell me that this combat system is not fun. It might not be for everyone, sure. I think it fits the majority. Like the typical tab targeting combat system lost its ways, in my opinion. It's stagnant. It gets boring. You pretty much, uh, you know, in the same place. But then the action combat is always funky. Never works well. It's all too flashy. Some people just can't, be bothered. It's too quick, too much. And Guild Wars 2 is just like the combat in there is just spot on. It's like you have some extra movement. You have less restrictions. You can like do some funky stuff, but it still works very well. And it's simple. Like it's not like you have 20,000 buttons on the bottom of your bar and you have to press all those skills and like World of Warcraft does. But it's not too simple. It's not like 3 or 4 only, and you are super limited. So yeah, and I still think the community is one of the best communities in terms of futures exploration. Like the game is still beautiful. It's still fun to explore. Uh, Tell me a game that has such a complex water system. Like most of the games, like yeah, it's water. You can maybe swim, maybe not. Here, you even combat under the water. Like they,
You even have your very own special weapons for
yeah, you
underwater. It's huge.
explore the water, you explore everything. There's even the air now. You can glide, you can do bunch of stuff that you couldn't do at the beginning of the game. So much.
Yeah, the wide array of tools that they give you for exploration is something that I don't think any MMO comes even close to. Um, and I'm not just talking about the tools themselves, but if you look at events, those are also a way to explore, especially sometimes the lore itself.
Yeah.
How do you feel about having the Guild Wars 2 theme where you have events and tasks to tell you the lore of the area, or having the standardized quest system? What do you think are the main strengths of each system?
Um. So it's a good thing that you don't have to go talk with the, you just go on the area, do the quests of the area. The only downside of it I see sometimes, it can be a bit, you don't have a guide. Like, you have all these quests to do, but you don't have like, go here, go there. The
Yeah, it's not very specified.
Yeah,
You're free to go.
yeah. So it is good. You have that freedom, but it can be a little bit difficult for some people to just like, I don't know where to go now. Which the typical questing sometimes does is, I give you this quest, you need to get this item. Did you poof?
Just look. Yeah, my game just logged off for some reason, but I'm logging back in. It's
Um.
okay. Keep going.
So yeah, sorry. So, and what the typical questing used to do is guide you to, okay, you go here, and then this quest kind of takes you to this area. You have another quest there, and that's how you explore the game. So I do like it. I hated to just talk with the person, tell me something that no one cares about. People just press skip, skip, skip. But I did like the guidance, and this is why I say the story in Guild Wars 2 helps you guiding a little bit. Not as the same level, but I think the lore of the game tells you this is the next map you should go to. You should go this way, this way, this way, this way. But at the same time, I'm giving you something fun to look forward. The next mission, the next part of the lore, whatever it is.
Do you think that too much freedom can be hurtful, more hurtful than the standardized just go here, go there system? Do you
It,
think that hurts more than it helps?
I guess it can do, but I do not. I like the freedom, right? But I can also understand that people need that guidance. That Guild Wars. It's not like they don't give it to you. They just tell you do whatever the hell you want. You can do this, 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 this. Pick. I think it's a super cool thing, and it's unique to Guild Wars 2. But it can throw off some people, definitely.
What do you think about the marketing for Guild Wars 2? Do you think Guild Wars 2 has known as other MMOs that have the same population?
Uh, Probably not. Like, I don't see a lot of marketing from ArenaNet. At least these days. Maybe back in the days when the game was fresh. But nowadays, I think the biggest marketing tool is us, content creators.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do think that content creators nowadays are the best tool for marketing. And Guild Wars 2 just recently started doing some content creation support with Twitch drops. But do you think that that's something that should only rely or fall on to content creators in the community? The mouth to mouth thing, the word for mouth. How do you say it? The marketing just give to your friends like, hey, play this game. Do you
uh,
think that that's all it takes for the game to be successful? Shouldn't they put out something as well?
no, but I think it's the most important one. Because it comes from experience, right? when I see an advertisement of a game on YouTube, for example, right? Unless there's something really there that caught my eye, eh, I'm probably not gonna try it. Like 90% of the games that show up, don't even catch interest. But if someone tried the game, like the game has been out for so long that there's so many people that experience the game, and this stage, it's probably the most reliable and most important one because it actually comes for experience. But it comes with the caveat, which is my experience might be not the one that you like, unless I know you very well. Like, unless we are friends for a long time and I know exactly the kind of game you like or the kind of content that you like to play. If it's just like me talking to you and I don't know, like, for example, I love PvP, right? And I think Guild Wars 2 used to have a really fun PvP at the time. But if you don't know that, you're gonna tell me, but you love PvE more than PvP, but you had a really bad experience with PvE, you're gonna say, yeah, the game is not really fun. But for me, it's like, bro, I love PvP, it looks amazing, but I didn't know that because you didn't tell me. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
caveat.
you're spot on. Do you think that Guild Wars 2 deserves more recognition than it has nowadays?
Always,
Like, is this game widely recognizable enough?
it's not. Unfortunately, it's
Okay,
not.
so we've talked about some of its flaws. What do you think are the main flaws for that to be the case? That is,
The main flaws. I think people don't like
we've talked
change.
about
Like people, I
don't
think
like change. Yeah,
so. Guild Wars 2 came into a time. Well, first of all, the reputation that people gave Guild Wars 2 didn't help. Not just the players that came from Guild Wars 1, was also it's gonna be the next WoW killer, which was never the intention. That should never be the mentality. So people that were a bit tired of WoW, they went to Guild Wars 2 with expectation, yeah, it's gonna be much better, and the game is so much different from World of Warcraft, and they're like, oh, I don't like this. I like World of Warcraft. I'm comfortable. I know everything there. I've grown up with it. I think that's a flaw as well. I don't know who made that. Like, I don't know if it was a marketing play from ArenaNet at the time to try to get people to play the game, or if it was just the community in general that gave that reputation. The flaws, the flaws is it's difficult. I don't know. When you enjoy the game so much, it's difficult to point something that
it's yeah. I totally agree with you there. It's really hard for you to be able to pinpoint what is the main mistake here.
yeah, I don't know because I enjoy the game. Like but then you might ask, then why did you stop playing? I just stopped playing because I don't have the time, and I like to play with people. And if I don't have the people, then I'm just I can enjoy for like a few months by myself, but then I stop.
Do you think that games overall have given you more fun per hour than the opposite? That being unpleasant or unfun or rageful or even the feeling of unproductiveness per hour? Do you think it's worth it for you to play games? Like if you're giving your opinion to someone who has never played games, would you advise them to?
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't think I lost interested in games or playing video games because I enjoy playing video games regardless. The games changed a lot. Like the experience changed a lot, but so did I, right? So um my what I used to like before, it's not the same that I like now, and it's also influenced to do with my lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Do you think that you enjoyed more back in the day than you do nowadays?
I don't think
Like,
I
did you enjoy
enjoy.
more playing games?
I don't think so. I think I enjoy as much. I just don't have like before. I would say I have more time, so it feels like I'm enjoying more because I'm spending more time in the game. So I'm spending more. I'm investing more into the game. But now, since I don't have the time, I enjoy it as much as before. It just doesn't feel like it because I'm not spending 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day or how many hours a day that I used to compared to now.
Yeah, I see a lot. There's a lot of people nowadays. Like, I'm talking about like from 30 years old and above, that their responsibilities make them think that they don't enjoy games because they feel unproductive, and they might just not enjoy them anymore. But I don't think that games are getting like that much worse than it was back in the day. I think they're getting different. They're evolving in a different way than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think they lost some qualities, but they gain other qualities. But then again, it comes down to the game that you are playing. Because there's a lot of games and a lot of companies nowadays, way more than before, that just care about the money. So they're gonna make the game slightly interested enough for you to pay for the game and then drop it. They don't care. But there are still games out there that I have as much fun because I'm playing the game as it is intended to, and they are not just looking for the money. Sure, the money is important, it keeps the game alive, but it's not all of it.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, that's not what it takes. That's not just that it takes to be a good game. Do you think like there's some hardship when it comes to following the trends as a content creator? Do you think that you should be pressured to follow the trend, or you should just play the games that you love? How do you feel about that? Like
Hmm.
for new content creators such as myself, let's say like that, should we try to go for the trends, or should we stay in games that we love, like myself in Guild Wars 2?
I think you should stay in the games that you like because if you like the game, unless the game is dead, then you will never have following, right? But if there are a community at least, so you have to also think about that, right? Guild Wars 2 still has a community and it's huge still. It's not the biggest, but it's still huge. If you're gonna go with trends, but you're not gonna enjoy the game, there will be a point that you're gonna say, F this, I'm tired. And you're gonna give up. Because you're not enjoying, you're just forcing it to try to make it. But if you are patient enough and believe that, your content is good or is getting good, you are doing something that you enjoy talking about, then it's much easier. The journey makes it easy. I tried to do that. I tried to play Fortnite since you mentioned it. I hated the game. Not for me. It's a good game. Nothing against it. Hell no. I'm not playing that game.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel you there.
So
Yep, it's not our cup of coffee. Let's call it like that. It's not for
exactly.
us.
Like I mentioned to you earlier before the stream, right? That my first content was Guild Wars 2.
Yeah,
And I'm back to it because this is what I enjoy. Do I believe it's the game that gives me boom, gonna be successful? No. But I'm doing something I enjoy. After that, I might try here and there stuff that I'm not as certain, but I'm still staying in my lane. I'm still doing things that I enjoy. I'm gonna talk about
yeah,
maybe games that I invest less time with, but I still enjoy. Because if I would just go with the trend, then I'm going after the money. And this
and
is not
that's
my
that's the
motivation.
thing that we yeah, that's the thing that content creators or new content creators tend to start just focus on the money, and that's when they lose themselves on it. Like, each, in my opinion, you should be able to feel comfortable while doing your content, and you should be happy about the content that you're putting out. You may not feel 100% accomplished with it, but because you always know that you can improve something. However, you should be feeling proud, like, hey, like, man, really like to put this video up. I really love to do these streams. And that way you get more comfortable. You get to be yourself, which is something that is much better than just trying hard to be entertainment. And that can be an issue as well, and you get lost in it. How much pressure do you feel like in terms of entertainment versus having fun yourself?
None. I don't feel pressured.
Yeah, that's big, isn't it? Yeah.
Look, I
I,
I used
I,
to. I was like this is what I said before. If you look at some of my old videos, not the Guild Wars, but some that I did after that, I was thinking, let me be funny. For example, I think I'm a funny
yeah.
person in general, but it doesn't come forced. It's not scripted. It's something that you're, you know, with me. There'll be a time that I'm gonna say something funny or I'm gonna act funny naturally. It's gonna happen in the moment, and that's way more accomplishment than me trying. Okay, I want to be a funny guy or comedian with games. That's not what I am. I'm not a comedian. I'm myself, and there are people that will not like your personality or the way you are, and people will, and that's the people that your target audience is. It's the people that enjoy who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for me as well. Like I do enjoy to watch streamers and other content creators that are as transparent as possible. Like I'm not searching for the biggest entertainment or the biggest amount of views when I watch a stream. I'm looking for someone that I can relate to. And that is something that once you get to create content, you shouldn't lose the track of. You should always have that in the back of your mind, in my opinion.
100%. Like, no, there's no pressure for me. Like, I will make it. That's what I believe. And I'm not putting like a date to it. I'm like, in 1 year, I want to have this amount of subscribers, or this amount of videos, or this amount of views. No, I'm gonna work as long as I'm conscious that I'm working on it and I'm not just not doing anything. Then I'll find like I've not done a video in 3 weeks. That was the last time I uploaded a video. But I know I'm writing stuff. I know I'm whatever, having ideas. No pressure.
Yeah, that's another thing. Sometimes people don't understand that gaps might not mean unproductiveness. We might still be productive while we have the gap in content. In fact, I bet you we're being more productive while in the gap because we're writing a lot. At least I speak for myself. I do write a lot once I don't have to edit stuff because I just feel like writing. I love writing, man. It's one of my favorite parts of content creation is writing, like for the videos, the scripts, and everything. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I
How
enjoy
do
it
you
as well.
feel? How do you feel about your content creation? Like, do you watch yourself,
I do.
and how often?
Not very often. I think I watch myself enough. And by that I mean I put the video out, but before I put the video out, I watch it and I say, do I think I would watch this? Yeah. Is it the top notch quality on YouTube? No. But I think it's still enjoyable. Yes. I think has potential. Yes. I upload it. I take a look, see how it performs for the first maybe few days, and I never look back.
Exactly. That's exactly how I do it myself as well. Because I do watch like the first few days how it's going, and once you get some statistics in, you can thoroughly go through and see what works and what doesn't. And that's what I check, and then I just go back to brainstorming for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you don't try stuff, you don't know how well they're gonna do. And that's how and it's if it doesn't do well, nobody does well all the time. Nobody, not even Mr. Beast or whoever big YouTuber or streamer. Nobody does well at all the time. They do well, obviously, because their numbers are big. But if you compare maybe video from last week with the one from today, the one on last week did really bad, maybe, compared to the one. Yeah, they have a strong, maybe like 50, 100 or million views. But the other one has 2 million views. If you compare that, then oh, wait a second. 2 million views and 1 million views is a big difference.
Yeah.
Maybe not for them. Maybe not for them.
It's
For
like
us.
the double.
Yeah. You know? I don't put that pressure on me. I used to. Oh, all the time. I was like, oh shit, it's not doing very well. Oh, maybe I'm boring. Well, obviously, it's good to analyze and see the problems and improve on the next video. But don't beat yourself up.
Excuse me, Minister?
that might be an issue that I might be fault at. I do sometimes beat myself up. Why didn't this work? But it's something that you develop, and the main barrier that I've seen throughout people that do want to start content creation is that they're afraid to fail, and that is for me. And I'm sorry about the language here, but for me that is such a bullshit. You might fail in everything that you do. You might fail even in your day-to-day job, and you get fired, and that's a risk you're taking every single day. So why not taking a risk doing something that you like?
Yep. I,
What do you think about that?
I'm fault to that, and I totally agree with you, 1000%. But at the end of the day, the reason I keep coming back to content creation is because I know I enjoy this. And I failed way too many times. Like when we spoke before, I have videos back from 2013. I have videos from, I don't know, like 2018. They're all hidden now. But the reason I stopped was not just because I wasn't performing well. It was first, I was afraid to fail, so I was not making content enough. Two, I wasn't patient enough. That's another thing. You also need to be patient. You're not like, maybe you're gonna be booming in like the first 2-3 videos. Good. But what you know what that was? Pure luck. You hit the algorithm perfectly, boom, you boom. But like reality, most likely, it will take you a lot of time. And
The gods of the algorithm were with you on that time.
Yeah, well,
That's how it works.
Exactly. It also comes to you to learn the algorithm and try to, get yourself into it. So it's not a miracle per se, but just because you know how the algorithm works doesn't mean you're going to do well at first, right away. You need to get into the algorithm, learn it, do the right things, and there's a time that you're going to slowly develop. And while you do that, your channel gets more popular, more people know you, more people search for you, you will continue to hit the algorithm more and more. That's how it works.
So that actually is an amazing segue for your content. What would you say are your biggest qualities as a content creator?
Biggest
Like, what
quality.
would people be looking at in terms, like, for yourself? What are the things, your strengths?
My strengths. Knowledge. About when I'm talking about something, I have a lot of knowledge and research done. I think I'm easygoing. Like people, like putting my face out there. I just don't do it just because I feel comfortable. It's because people can identify with me more. They look at me. I was like, oh, I know how he looks like. I know this guy,
Yeah,
and it's something
they
people
can relate
enjoy.
to.
And I'm myself. I. That's the main thing. I'm myself all the time, and that's what's important to me because there's so many people out there. There's so many people creating content that it's difficult for you to. You can't maybe thinking like, what is one thing that I'm better than anyone? Probably nothing.
Exactly. That's
I
the answer that I was looking for.
There's probably
Yeah,
nothing
like,
that you stand out, and that's okay.
people watch you because they just enjoy who you are, and that is what it is.
Like,
If people want to find out who you are and your content, where can they do so? Tell us a little bit about your
mm,
channels, where you post.
my main, well, most of my content it's based on my YouTube channel. Um, and that's where I post my videos. That is where I do live streams. I go live on YouTube, and I do also have other social medias, but most of my content it's on YouTube. And like YouTube, the idea is to stay there, and create content mostly there. Obviously, share it and maybe create content that can be explored in other social medias, but it's gonna be on my YouTube channel.
How do you feel about the next content that you're releasing? Is there anything that you can talk us through? What you're planning?
So at
Anything that you can give like a special here?
yeah, so well, at the moment it's not really something new. It's the next content that's gonna come out is Guild Wars 2 related, which is me talking about the experience that I'm having and how it is going. Uh, future content, it's on the works, but it's nothing more certain. It's not like it's something that I already set down and know exactly what I want. I have a lot of things written down, probably esports related because that's what I do as well. Esports, anime, and gaming. It's what I do in my channel. And since the esports seasons are coming back, there's probably content that I can talk about. Well,
Yeah. Well, I do hope to see something about esports on Guild Wars 2. I would like to see your take on it. So I hope to
uh,
see some video talking about that at
I
least.
mean, it is a good idea. I didn't think about it. It is a good idea because that was one of their focus at the beginning. Um, how it is now compared to what was the expectations? I mean, probably not not as much, how they expected it was going, but definitely it's something I can take. It's a really good idea.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's not like in existence. It's not like it doesn't exist nowadays, but it does. It does. You have communities that by their own selves, they create their own tournaments and they have real money prizes. And hey, still works.
It does.
So yeah. Well, that's actually everything I had to talk with you about. Is there anything else you want to
I
share
mean,
us with?
no, I mean, we talked a lot of things.
Yeah, I think this was actually pretty good. I enjoyed a lot of our talk. Actually, it was. I did find that you have a lot of answers that I identify myself with, and that's pretty good. It's
Hmm,
always fun to meet someone like this.
exactly. See, that's what. See, this is
So
what it is. It comes down to that. It's knowing people that you identify with, have fun, and that's what we want. Have fun.
exactly. So, guys, if you want to give Naz here a big follow on YouTube, go in there, subscribe, give a like on his videos. I posted now on chat the last video that he put on Guild Wars 2, and I believe that the next one is coming is the segue from that.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, keep an eye out for the next one as well. Naz, I appreciate you a lot, man. That this was amazing. Thank you very much for coming here
Thank you for
to
having
and
me.
doing this with me.
Yeah, no worries.
This was an absolute blast, man.
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah, me too. It was a first timer, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I hope we get to do this another time. So that's gonna be it. I'll be right back, guys, on the stream. I'm just gonna finish things up here with Naz, and I'll see you in a bit. Be right back, guys.
sorry, I'm back. Yeah, so guys, that was the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you follow him. It's on the title of this live stream. It's gonna be a video as well. So make sure you check his content. He's a new content creator, and just show support and love from our side. I'll finish the stream here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I catch you guys in the next one.